I think that the secret is confidence. And I mean, it's sort of basic, but confidence is 95% of it. That comes for me with experience, but I think the trick is to be confident, but not arrogant. Confident and still humble. I'm confident that I surround myself with people that are smarter than me, and I know that I learn something from them every day. So what matters most to me is to sell something. And at the end of the day, we're all selling, whether it's certainly if you're in a marketing role, you're in a sales role, and any real estate agent, we're all selling all the time, right? We're not selling widgets. We're selling something that really matters, making the experience all about the consumer and putting them at the center of the process. And so that's a really unique position for our real estate brand. Everyone says it, but they don't really articulate it, I think, quite as beautifully.
Tell us about technology. What do you recommend? What do you see is working? What do you think people should be using?
I'm going to give you a pat answer, which I'm sure other people have said to you as well. But the truth is, like, whatever you will use.
All right. Welcome to the Top Real Estate Influencers podcast with your hosts, Mario Hurley and myself, Alex Montalenti. Today, we have the pleasure of interviewing Stephanie Anton with Corcoran. This is going to be amazing. She comes from an amazing background of marketing. She's been at various industry companies, like leading real estate companies of the world. She's now at Corcoran. She's doing affiliate marketing. She's global. She's all over the place. She's an influencer, even though she might not say she's an influencer. She is an influencer. So we're excited to dive deep. Let's get it rocking. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, guys. This will be fun. I'm excited.
Yeah. Awesome. So if you saw the questions we sent to you to prepare you for the podcast, I want to tell you that when I researched you, you seem to have a very clear presence, but it wasn't so much because of your title, but because you really pay attention to people. So I wanted to ask you, what do you have in mind whenever you walk into a room, whether it's going to be a bunch of associates or if you're going to speak, how do you basically rule in that room?
I thought you were going to say all the questions that you sent me, forget about it. You're not going to ask me any of this. I'm prepared for anything now, you guys. Thank you. I just also thank you for having me. I think this will be fun and different. And I appreciate you guys having a different voice in the industry and approaching this differently too. So let me just say that.
Thank you.
Of course. I think that, the secret is confidence. And I mean, it's sort of basic. Frankly, nothing I'm going to share is like earth shattering, but confidence is 95% of it. And that comes for me with experience, of course. But I think the trick is to be confident, but not arrogant, confident and still humble. I'm confident that I surround myself with people that are smarter than me, and I know that I learn something from them every day. So, that aura or like that you put off and the way that you approach other people, if you approach them, like I know what I'm doing, I know what I'm talking about, but I also can always learn more. I think it goes a long way in any room. So no matter if you have the most senior executive, the biggest billionaire, or you're, with service industry people, it doesn't matter. Like as long as you treat people with grace but you're still confident and you respect them, that just comes through.
Can you share with us a story when you had to do that?
Bajillions. I'll give you a story about someone else who did it actually. There was a woman named Martha Turner who used to own a company that's now owned by Sotheby's in Houston. It was a really very high-end brokerage company, although she was a very Texas woman. And she used to say, she would go on TV and she would do these commercials that said that we sell it into this Texas drawl. I'm not going to imitate her, but she sells from 300,000 to 3 million because people always assumed that she was only luxury. So I was sitting with her in a banquet hall in the St. Regis in Houston, having lunch, and I watched every service person walk up to her, and they were like wowed and awed by her because she was a celebrity in Houston. She absolutely was, because she was on TV. And she treated them with such dignity, such respect. She said, thank you. She said, please. She thanked them for the work that they did. And it was such an important lesson to me about the way you treat people. So I, try to emulate people like Martha.
Wow, that's really nice to be able to be inspired from by somebody who's already a leader, already doing that life, and they're like, this is how it's done. You don't have to be a jerk about it. You're not waiting for people to, let them walk all over you.
And treating people with kindness. It's not hard.
Yeah, I'm rereading the book, The Laws of Success by Napoleon Hill. And chapter 2 is self-confidence. It's like one of the key ingredients to success. And then one of the other chapters is providing service to others. Like that, it's like that balance of like, you got the confidence, but you're still there providing value. You're still humble that you're listening. You're taking it all in. It's not like you're just speaking down, right? It's like
yeah, but knowing that you can always learn from everybody. I mean, I learn from people every day, and the most unexpected things. And it's just, maybe it is a listening thing. I never thought about it like that, but I think that's, you guys just taught me something. So there you go.
You're welcome. So I want to get to like what's your core expertise. I know you have leadership and many more things to contribute, but us, Real Greater, we're a marketing company, and we're constantly talking to our agents and guiding them and training them and encouraging them all about branding. So when it comes to real estate and marketing, like what would you say is like what really matters most?
Yeah. Well, part of it is why real estate, right? And what matters most to me is to sell something. And at the end of the day, we're all selling, whether it's certainly if you're in a marketing role, you're in a sales role, and any real estate agent, we're all selling all the time, right? But we're not selling widgets. We're selling something that really matters. And that's part of actually what drew me to Corcoran, is because, our tagline, which you can see behind me, is live who you are. And that is very specifically because it's a lifestyle brand, but it's also because if it makes it about the consumer. It's not about us. It's not about chest pounding. It's not about bragging. It's about making the experience all about the consumer and putting them at the center of the process. And so that's a really unique position for our real estate brand. Everyone says it, but they don't really articulate it, I think, quite as beautifully. I had an opportunity early in my career after I finished grad school, I had an opportunity to go work in the consumer packaged goods business and to work for General Mills, which is, sort of one of the meccas of the CPG business. And I went to Minnesota to interview for the job, and I talked about Cheerios all day. I don't care about cereal. And literally, I walked out of that interview, a series of 8 interviews over the course of a day, and I just said, there's no way I can go sell Cheerios. Like, they're great, but it's not for me. I mean, I grew up, my father was a real estate, was a developer. And I literally grew up talking about real estate at the kitchen table. And it is home to me. And so I think, marketing is always been my passion, and real estate is my love. And so having the opportunity to do those things, like, I'm lucky and grateful because I'm, super passionate about it.
So what matters to you, you said, it's about them. It's about what you provide to the agents?
It's about so just in terms of what matters to me in terms of marketing or in real estate. What matters to me is to do something that matters, right? And to because that's part of why I'm in real estate. But then to have a clean brand that has a very clean message and a very clear understanding of who it is and who it's not, it's really powerful. And so, and I always say that, like, in marketing, like, if you know who you are, it's more important to know who you're not, right? So, like, I'll just use an example. We always say that Corcoran is not exclusive. It's a brand that works at all price points. It skews premium because of the markets we're in, for sure. But you'll never hear us use the word luxury. And we're not exclusive, we're inclusive. And that's a very, very clear lane. And so in marketing, I'm sure this is exactly what you guys preach and teach, but it's like the first thing you need to understand is who you are, but also understand who you're not, and be okay with that. Be comfortable and confident and lean into that, because sometimes you can't be all things to all people. And so if you understand who you are and how to be who you are to the right people, then it's incredibly gratifying, and it reaps rewards. And so that's what I tell agents in terms of personal branding, and, to not be the worst thing you can do is just be vanilla. You got to stand for something.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I mean, with our business, we would love to work with the #1 realtor in the world, but that's not really who we serve.
Yeah.
Right? So as much as we'd strive, like some people say, we strive for that, not really. Like who we are is the realtors that are in like doing 5 deals a year, trying to get to 25, trying to get to 150, trying to build a team, but not the ones that are fully established, have a full team, because at that point, they don't really need us.
Right. But good for you, because you clearly understand your lane. So, I mean, that's just why, like, if you look at hotels, right, and branding in the hotel business, like, Weston certainly understands who their customer is, and it's not the same customer as the St. Regis, and it's not the same customer. So that's why, like the Starwood brands can exist and have like 6 brands, just like Anywhere does, because they have different lanes. And so if you clearly define it, then you can grow market share in that space. And there's so much room in real estate for all these brands. And, I think that, the more the better, because that just means we're serving more people.
That's incredible. I mean, everyone that's listening and watching the podcast, I would say this would benefit them. Between 40 to 60% of agents currently in the market would benefit from this, because I mean, that's what I run into all the time. They're all trying to do everything. They're all trying to figure out where's the money. They're all trying to figure out what somebody else is doing to see if they can copy them. And that's
pick
got
market,
no
pick a segment, and then just, blow that out. I think it's a really successful way to differentiate yourself, because then it's natural and authentic.
Yeah, exactly. And which I'm going to follow up with what you just said with a question later on regarding your personal brand. But I'd like to go to another concept, which is something, I don't know how it is in your town, but here in Miami, it's still a big thing, which is what I call the hustle culture, which is like, every day, 7 days a week, you work on the weekends, no evenings, take vacations, work hard, play hard. Like, how does that, in your opinion, how does that align with like, what is your true north? Like what you really value for your life and the hustle culture?
I'm probably not the best role model on this. So I'll say, just full disclosure, and anyone on my team could tell you this, is that for me, work and life are the same. I mean, really the same. So all of my friends not all, most of my friends come from my professional sphere, and my travel oftentimes is related to work. And I think in work 24/7. I dream about work and I love it. And I don't expect it from everybody else, but when someone else has it naturally, I am attracted to that. And I tend to hire people like that. But I also say to my team, like, I don't expect you to work 24/7, but I also don't expect you to stop thinking about work at 5 o'clock, because it's just, to me, that's just not the way I'm wired. And, I believe in having a work-life balance and having tons of free time. I love to travel, and I'm married, and I have a lot of personal interests, but when I walk every morning, I think about work and I call my clients, and, it can be 6 o'clock in the morning. And so so I'm not the best model there, but back to your true north question, I think it's tied together, because for me, I would say that it's important to me to be the best at what I do, but I also totally accept and am grateful for whatever I'm able to do. Right. And so, like, whether I'm talking about my family or my marriage or friendship or work or a project, and I laugh when I think about podcasting or blogging or working out. Like, I think those are all things that, like, people tend to start to do and then taper off doing, because it's hard you have to have rigor, what you guys have done to do a podcast every single day at 2 o'clock. I mean, it's hard work. But I also, like, don't beat myself up if I don't do it every day, because I'm, whatever you're able to accomplish, I think you got to celebrate that too. So, I don't know if
You have children?
We don't have children. No, I often say I have a man child for a husband, and which I would say to his face. And we have a dog. So, and we're just a small little family. And he's still working as a developer, and we both work in hard and play hard. You know, we love to travel. So we travel a lot whenever we can. The last couple of years were hard for us.
Wow.
Reminds me of last night, it was 11 o'clock at night. I couldn't fall asleep. I was really excited because we had this big webinar today that's happening for our team. And my girlfriend turns to me and she's like, "You're thinking about work, aren't you?" I was like, it's 11 o'clock at night. I'm trying to get to bed.
But I mean, to me, that's passion. And like, how is that a bad thing? Like, you know, like I want to be passionate about what I do. And so I will sometimes say to my husband, okay, now I've got a work story to tell you, and then you can tell me a personal thing. And actually he has started doing this thing because he's a guitar player and singer personally. And sometimes now I will tell him a work story and then he'll respond with a song because he's equally passionate about it. And so and it's like we aren't really talking to each other, but we are. So yeah.
Just write a song about it.
That's another pro tip. Learn how to communicate in a way that works for both people.
Totally.
Right? That's good. He responds to you with song. You tell him about your passion in business, and it works perfectly.
Yeah, for sure. Because we're sharing, even if we're not really having a conversation, and we kind of are. I hadn't really thought about it before like that, but yeah.
Incredible. Thank you for that, because I'm still single, so I need to, any tip I can pick up. Any agent out there that's single, that's a tip.
Well, here's a tip. Walk down the street singing and you'll meet women.
What do you mean? Is that how you've met them?
No. But
Okay.
Women love, singers.
I am going to start I am a good singer. Actually,
Mario's a great dancer, though.
Oh,
Yeah,
even better.
Even better.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. Tell us about technology. What do you recommend? What do you see is working? What do you think people should be using?
So I'm going to give you a pat answer, which I'm sure other people have said to you as well. But the truth is, like, whatever you will use, we have this weird thing in real estate where we all, as real estate brokers and franchises, we roll out all this technology that nobody ever uses. And so, and tools and things like that. And so I think that realistically, it's whatever you're going to use. So the one most basic thing is a CRM. And I think that particularly as marketers, like if you can develop a really good database and a really good CRM, that's pretty much all you need. Social media, but I don't think of that as technology. So, I mean, that's sort of an obvious, but I do think that it's like, I don't really push technology on anybody. I just say, like, what is the way in which you do your business and the way you live your life? And what will you actually use? So if it's an iPhone, use your iPhone. I can be in the corner of an airport for 8 hours, but as long as I have my phone, it doesn't matter where I am, I'm fine.
Yeah, same with Alex.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's amazing. A lot of people don't, and you're right. I mean, whatever system works for you. Some people have a basic spreadsheet that they just created some columns and that is their database, and they do mailings off of it, and they'll do phone calls off of it, and they're crushing it, and then other people have a complex, 7-step follow-up system with a top funnel and all this stuff going on.
It's just personal and it's intimate. Yeah. And so you have to just make sure that you don't try to force yourself into using something or to buy something that you're not actually going to use.
But just my counter is like that they need to have something. Mm-hmm. Right? Like a database, like I just had a webinar where I was talking about how you grow your influence to 26 realtors. And I asked, like, how many of you are using database? How many of you have over 100 people in it? And it was, very, very few. Right?
Yeah.
But it's like, that's how people get influence. Like, you can take that database and upload it to LinkedIn and get connections. You can take that database and follow those people on Instagram. You can create a newsletter. But if you don't have the database, who are you going to contact?
That's it. Totally. Yeah. I agree. Definitely. But it can be, in an address book on your phone for sure.
So before we go into your personal branding, one of the things I'm always interested in, and I love to know, how do you adopt like your values? Where did you get your values that made you who you are today?
It's, I'm sure everyone says this, but for sure my family and the way I was raised. So I was raised to be very independent and to work hard, and that I was raised with the belief that the harder you work, you can control your destiny. And so I deeply believe that. And I think that early on, my mom especially taught me the value of money and how to manage money. And she did that by, I don't know if I've ever really shared this story, but I was 10 years old and my mom marched me down to the Bank of Highland Park, the little local bank, and opened a checking account for me at 10. Which I can't believe they let me do that, but whatever. And I got little checks. And anyway, and then she said, I was nickel and diming her. Can I have money for this? Can I have money for this? Can I have money for this? And she said, I am going to give you, I think it was like 100. Now, from now on, it's up to you to manage this. So if you want to buy expensive, shampoo, it's up to you. And you can do that. And you got $100. But if you do that tomorrow, you're going to have to wait for the next 30 days to get your next paycheck. And my friends were so jealous. And I learned very early on to, buy cheap shampoo because I wanted more money to, like for candy. And so anyway, it helped me manage money and learn how to be really thoughtful about how I spend money. And I'm not afraid to spend money on good things or to, things that will, grow my business or that will invest in me at all. But I'm thoughtful about it. I'm not cheap, but I'm cautious.
So no, not everybody answers the same way, by the way.
Yeah, is that right? Yeah, totally. But I mean, I think your parents, like, how do you, like, I don't know, that's for me, that's how, and then I was also very lucky to work for very good people. And I've always worked for entrepreneurs in some way, shape or form. And so either whether my brokers or working with agents, and that's a big part of why I love real estate, but also because again, my father owned his own business. And then I worked for a couple of guys out of college who owned a PR firm. And, every dollar they were thoughtful about it. And they taught me basics of business. And they were just also really kind, good people. So I'm lucky to have had a lot of good, kind, successful influencers in my life.
Well, I gotta say, when you said I learned that if you work really hard, you can control your destiny.
Yeah.
Is that what you said? Control your destiny?
Yeah, totally.
That gave me goosebumps.
Interesting. Yeah.
Say more about that. What do you mean? That's scary. I mean, it sounds amazing, but
it's good. I mean, it's great because every choice you make you're in control of it. And so, I mean, I get very frustrated with people that are victims, right? Because you're not a victim. Like, it's up to you. Do whatever you want and like make it happen. But, and that's again, probably why I love working with entrepreneurs so much. But, you are in charge of every choice that you make. Like, I went to grad school. I went to undergrad. I studied film at undergrad in Boston. I had a very good education, a very expensive school. I was very lucky my mother paid for it. My father had passed away. My mom paid for it all, 100%. And then 5 years later, I decided I want to go back to grad school and study marketing. And mom's like, you're on your own. And so I applied to Northwestern. I got in and I took out loans. And I took out at the time, I mean, it was, I think $150,000. It was huge, but like, I didn't even, I made the choice to invest in myself and to go into debt because I knew it was going to pay off because I believed in myself and the ability and I knew that coming out of it, I could make so much more money, blah, blah, blah. So, I didn't have to do that, but I chose to do that. And I think those kinds of things are building blocks for people. When you have experiences like that, you can then make a good decision the next time and then a good decision the next time, and what's right for you. And so, the best agents I know, back to the hustlers, they are hustlers and they work hard, but they aren't afraid to take risk and they aren't afraid to invest in themselves and they aren't afraid to put themselves out there. It's really simple. And they aren't afraid to like ask hard questions, and they'll go to top producers and ask top producers, how did you get successful? And they're humble about it. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm very, very inspired by real estate agents. I've always had a paycheck and I'm very lucky for that. I'm not motivated enough by money to sell real estate and be 100% commission based. That's terrifying to me. I probably would kill it, but I like having a paycheck. I'm good. So, people always say real estate agents wake up every day with no job. And that's incredibly inspiring.
I have a question for you that wasn't on the questions, but I think you can answer it. Is what's the biggest thing you learned working at Luxury Portfolio International? Because that's like such a, it's like the cream of the cream. It's like the top of the top.
Yeah.
Brands all over. I'm curious.
Yeah. So that was such a highlight of my career. I mean, I was there for 15 years and I started right when the brand started. And it launched. So it launched. It launched in 05. I started in 06. And we took it from something like 7 countries to like 70. I mean, really, it was an incredible experience. And it was the biggest thing I learned, I would say, probably is how to grow a business profitably and successfully and thoughtfully. We didn't do it too quickly. We did it methodically and we did it, strategically. And so I think it was how to build on what you have built and take the next step in a really methodical way was a great way that I kind of walked away from that job with an incredible learning that I can now apply to new opportunities too, whether real estate or other things too.
Nice. Was
that a big team?
No, not at all. Yeah. And so for, I don't know, so leading real estate companies of the world is a network of independent brands, all over the world. And then Luxury Portfolio is the high-end marketing program for Leading RE. So you have to be part of Leading RE in order to be able to qualify for Luxury Portfolio. And then, at least back when I was running it, then there was a fee. I don't know how it is done today, but there was a fee for doing that. So the team was, I think, we were 3 people when I started, and I think it was 6 or 7 when I left. So it was actually a very small team. We did a lot, considering. Yeah.
That's inspiring.
I got introduced to that through friend and agent that sold our house in Long Island, Maria.
Yeah.
She was part of that group.
Yeah, it's a really high caliber group, and the brokers are, the local brokers, historically have done so well because real estate is a local business. And so there's a huge place for it. So when I left and came to a franchise, it was a totally different model. And that's kind of why I go back to there's so much room in this industry for so many different solutions and models, because there's different things that provide different services to different people. And so, I deeply believe in the power of independence, but I also believe in what a brand can bring to people and really help take them to the next level too. So it's been fun to be on both sides.
It's beautiful. And I know you said that you like to have a paycheck that you can count on, a reliable paycheck, but I know you also have to demonstrate you can earn that check every time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm not, yes, I do. But I'm motivated by me. Right. And so, yeah, it's an interesting, I just kind of going back to the True North question.
Yes. So based on that, what projects do you have in store? What things are you planning this year, for example?
Well, related to the last question, actually, is a good one. We're launching our first European affiliate in Q1. And so I'm really excited about that. Corcoran, we only started offering the brand through franchising 3 years ago, not even. So, and we've already gone to the Caribbean, so we haven't gone to mainland Europe, and I can't say what country yet, but I'm very excited because of my background and because of my love for international real estate. It's a big.
Are we allowed to guess?
Yeah. No, I can't tell you. It's confidential.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Before we go, unless you have something else, Alex.
No, I'm good. Your questions are great.
They are great.
Oh, thank you.
You're right. It's supernatural. It's fun. You guys are great at this.
Thanks. What books do you recommend? What books do you like the top 5?
So it's funny. I am I'm a voracious reader, but I read to escape my brain, right? And so it's not so, but I do like, there's a couple of like business books, like I've read all the business books, right? But there's a couple of like current real estate books that I think are super valuable and also relevant to the conversation we had. The big, huge one is The Go-Giver by Bob Berg. And it's truly all about like how you have to give to get back, and sort of back to this whole humble concept, and really serving others and having like a servant leadership mentality, which is 100% where I come from. So it's a really, like, speaking of goosebumps, like I just got goosebumps. It's so good. So that's a good one. There's a gentleman named Phil Jones who is a great speaker, and he wrote a book called Exactly What to Say. It's for real estate agents, and it's like how to, like, what language to use when you're talking to customers. And that's one that we just did an interview with him, and we have him speaking at an upcoming conference. And so that's just high level on my mind right now. But I personally, I was just in Costa Rica on vacation for Christmas. And I read a book called The Family Gene, totally just personal, interesting, about a woman who had this weird genetic mutation in her family, and then how they kind of bred it out in just her family. So it was really, really interesting. So highly recommend.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And what about movies? What movies do you recommend?
So it's funny. And I said, like I told you, I was a film major, and I am not so great at watching movies these days because my brain, I just can't, I find I'm like, I'm like watching.
Multitasking?
Multitasking is the word I'm looking for. Yeah, totally. So I'm not great at it, but we've been watching a lot of series lately, and I loved White Lotus. It was great. So highly recommend.
I'm curious, Mario, you read a lot of books too. What's your favorite book right now?
Currently, my favorite book is Incognito.
Ah, yes, I'm reading that too.
Yes.
Are you both reading the same book at the same time?
No. I read multiple. I read multiple books at the same time. I use Audible, which I wish Audible was paying me something for username. I use audiobooks. I'm actually reading several books at the same time. I'm reading. Okay, I want to share with you guys because I'm very proud of my book selection. I think it's great to have eclectic taste.
One of our favorites is The Road Less Stupid, though.
Yes, it is. The Road Less Stupid. Yes.
Yeah. Keith Cunningham, who does Tony Robbins' Business Mastery a lot. But
now you have me curious.
Okay, so books I'm reading. Okay, I'm reading The 3 Laws of Performance.
Yes, I read that. That was great.
Magnificent Sex.
Writing it down.
There you go. Incognito and It Didn't Start With You.
What's that?
It's a book about inherited traumas and how people have traumas they don't even realize it.
Interesting.
Yeah, I like some science.
I like autobiographies, and my tip actually for reading is I read through the Libby app. Do you guys know what that is?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and back to my like cheap thing.
Yeah.
So it's through the library, and so it's Libby, and so you get a library card, and then you can go on to Libby and you can put books on hold, and then you when they're available, then you download them, and so then I can download them into my Kindle app, and then I read them. But you got to read them then in like 2 or 3 weeks, which is good because it sort of keeps the pressure on to get through it. And so yeah,
that's very savvy, very money savvy. Wow.
Well, why would you pay for it? Because you can't share it. That's the thing. Like an actual book, like I could share it with somebody, but because you can't do that anymore, I'm like, well, I'm super into the library books.
Smart.
There you go.
I just dropped $39 on 3 credits.
You guys are great. Thank you for this. This was fun.
Thank you for joining us, Stephanie. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, I'll for sure promote your podcast now that I'm aware of it, and share it with folks. I think you have a very authentic style, and I appreciate that.
Thanks.
Our pleasure. Thanks and we hope to have you again in the near future when we talk about some new developments. Yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay.
Absolutely.